Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today let's go over Tesla, go over the market, see what happened. Earnings, of course, was yesterday, like I said, a pretty major catalyst, and it was an interesting earnings to say the least. We'll kind of roughly discuss the price movement from the earnings as well. And all that being said and done, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. None of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own decisions, make your own research, blah, blah, blah. This is just purely for entertainment. I'm a bit out of breath. I just came back from the gym. Now, let's go over Tesla. The market closes in about 4 minutes. Tesla is up about 10 to 11%, putting us at pretty much about, we'll say, $160, $159, $60 per share, which is quite fantastic of a move. Now, interesting thing about the earnings is the fact that after they reported earnings, pretty much just shortly after the bell, after hours, the stock pretty much didn't move. It was literally up or down like a percent at most, right? It was just kind of fluctuating. It was like barely doing anything. It was extremely odd, honestly, especially for Tesla. And then the earnings call happened, and it slowly ticked up on the earnings call, or during, I guess, the earnings call. I think it ended the day after hours, of course, ended, I think, up about 4 or 5%. And then this morning, it just rocketed up about 10%, 10 to 11% pre-market. And then it pretty much actually got rejected pretty hard. Sorry, there's a little hair on my screen. Got rejected pretty hard, and then actually throughout the day slowly climbed back up as well to pretty much finish at the price that it opened at, roughly just slightly below it, which is really interesting. Now, pretty weird price action. Now, I definitely want to see exactly how the candle closes, because like I said, if we get that doji candle, which right now is kind of looking like one, it's interesting. So Tesla's in a very, very weird spot. So like I said before, right, I'll be surprised if we pass this yellow line, 140 to 145. We did. Now, I said I'll be surprised if we also rally above this ascending wedge, which again, usually these ascending wedges play to the downside. It clearly has went above it. This is the first day that, again, I have a 3-day rule. This is the first day it went above it. So Tesla is really trying to reverse the trend here. And I also said yesterday, if we do happen to break above 150 and we go for the next level of the Fibonacci, which is exactly more or less where we got rejected at, which is around that 162 level, the 0.618, like I said, that is still a very real possibility, which is why I personally, I've been selling calls against Tesla pre-earnings, but I left a couple of calls to be sold post-earnings in case something like this happens, and I still have one more left just in case we happen to rally into my ultimate price target before I personally believe will be like the ultimate major rejection, which I'll talk about as well. But this is the next price target, like I said, that was kind of like 162-ish area, right? The important thing is the fact that we are above the 50-day moving average. Again, it's only a 1-day closure, right? Again, I want to see consistent closures and strength above these kind of, quote unquote important levels, but the fact that we're there is not a bad start whatsoever for Tesla. So it's really trying hard to reverse this, downward trend that it's been in aggressively. So there's just so many different things forming right now. It's kind of ridiculous. So first and foremost, again, we broke out this ascending wedge. Let's see if we hold it for the next, I think actually even tomorrow will be a pretty important day, and especially Monday, because we have a bunch of data coming out. FOMC's next week as well, so you know how that usually goes. SPY has been pretty strong actually here. You can see. So the market is just really trying to reverse right now. So this is either going to be an absolutely unbelievable, like ungodly bull trap, or maybe the bulls have finally won and the bear market is over, right? I mean, who knows, right? It's hard to say for sure right now. However, looking at Tesla again, so we are essentially at that next level of Fibonacci, like I said yesterday. And I did say if we do happen to push up to this level, the 0.618 level, which is again around that 162-ish area, this doesn't mean that, it's time to continue rallying and, back to 200 we go by tomorrow kind of thing. All this means to me, again, just my opinion, to me, is the fact that if and when we get rejected, which we will, again, every single, movement, whether it's a bull trend or a bear trend, will always have the opposite reaction. And in this case, like if it's a bear trend, you'll always have moves to the upside. If it's a bull trend, you'll always have moves to the downside. That's just kind of how the market works. You're always going to get zigzags, right? But going in that general direction, like if it's a bull market, you're overall going up, but of course in a zigzag pattern, and vice versa for the bear market, you're going down, but in a zigzag pattern, right? So in this case, what this means is the fact that we came up here, to me at least, is the fact that once Tesla does get rejected, whether it's here, whether it's a little bit higher, which we'll talk about, which this did unlock another potential upside move in my opinion, regardless of whether it's here or whether it's the upper one, this to me means that Tesla shouldn't actually fall back down as low as I initially thought it would, if assuming, for instance, it got rejected at the 150 and didn't go higher. Because if it got rejected at the 150 and didn't go higher, at the very least, I would have expected like minimum like 113, if not double bottom, if not even honestly even lower potentially. However, the fact that Tesla has went all the way up to 162 means that, once it does get rejected, I'll be shocked if it's even a double bottom. Like, I'll be honest, I'll be shocked if it even comes down back to these low levels once again around that kind of 100. Not impossible. It's, of course, I want to make it very clear, especially in a market like this. anything is possible. But this to me is overall net more bullish than before. So once Tesla gets rejected, I don't think it'll go as low on that rejection as I personally thought, which is a good sign for bulls. Not a great sign for bears, but it's a fantastic thing for bulls. Now, so the question is, okay, well, let's assume that this Fibonacci that I just showed you guys is the rejection level, which, is a pretty decent spot to reject that. We have a bunch of rejection over here. Tesla is potentially somewhat having a little bit of issues over here. So, we'll see where it takes us. I mean, it's also had like a phenomenal run ever since these lows over here. It's ran, from peak to trough about almost 60% in like 3 weeks now, I think, almost, right? That's phenomenal. That is an unbelievable move. Now, however, let's say in theory, just as a fun example, this is the short-term top. Let's say we do get rejected here and it's time to fall back down, get that healthy rejection, etc., etc., etc. Where does that take us? What does this mean? Well, let's take a look. So if this happens to be the rejection, I personally would be surprised if we go any lower than 124. That to me would be pretty shocking. Honestly, even 131 could be the quote-unquote low, if you will, of this potential rejection coming up, assuming this is the level we reject at. But I'll be pretty surprised if we go much lower than like 124 and especially 114. And I'll be legitimately shocked if we go back down to double bottoms. I still think the chance is there. It's just like a 10% chance, in my opinion, that we go to like a double bottom, and like a 5% chance we make lower lows. But I think the higher probability is we go anywhere between the 0.5 to the 0.618. That to me is the highest chance of a rejection and where it'll take us, with a slightly lower chance of going to the 115 essentially, which would essentially gap fill down all the way over here. But this, again, like I said, because we went up this high, means that to me, I don't think we'll go as low as I thought once Tesla finally does get its rejection at some point or another. Now, another thing that I've noticed that's actually happening, which could be fantastic for the bulls, is a potential cup and handle. So we did talk about the cup and handle that was forming here, the little small one right here that formed, right? We talked about this one right here, and then, well, let's actually draw better. I don't know why the line like zigzag. I'm trying to like, so weird. We talked about this one here, and then we went up, right? We talked about this cup and handle. However, we are forming a much larger one, as you can see, all the way right here. So this is the cup. And now, if we do get rejected here, which again, I still think is a very real possibility, all this would do, in my eyes at least, is form the potential handle once again. In other words, this would be the rejection. We come back down to one of those levels I talked about, the fib levels that we literally just discussed. That would essentially create arguably a massive bull flag. Well, not a massive bull flag, but like a respectable bull flag, which in turn will also be the cup. Oh, sorry, the handle of the cup. And then from there, of course, once we break out, it will simply rally up even higher, which I think will be just phenomenal for Tesla. And I think that will take us really, really high. So for instance, if you want to like have an idea as to maybe like, where will it take us? Well, you can, kind of measure the peak to the trough, and then assuming we break out from like, let's say somewhere over, roughly like, let's say around this like 130-ish level, just as an example, this will pretty much take us back up to almost 200, which is phenomenal if that actually were to happen. So that's just one theory that I have, that Tesla could be potentially forming here, which would be extremely bullish, and I think will look fantastic. Now, the RSI you can see is really pointing up. It's looking really good, but it is starting to approach overbought territory. The market also just finally closed, and this is arguably a doji candle, right? Like we talked about it the other day. I'll bring it up one more time in case you missed it or you forgot or whatever, but this is arguably a doji candle. So this is something that you really want to make sure you're paying attention to and not really, underestimating sometimes. Now, it's not like, completely like, oh, this happened, that means this next thing has to happen. It's just one of many factors. But again, doji candles usually signal, either indecision and or price reversal. In this case, of course, we are in an uptrend, at least for the, this kind of short-ish term uptrend. This, of course, usually would mean that, we are ready for a reversal, and Tesla is going to reject here and then essentially, what I personally believe, form the handle of the cup, which would essentially also just arguably form a bull flag. And then from there, I want to keep this line here actually for now. And then from there, we will pretty much just have like maybe, half a month, I would say, of just a slow, bleed out down to maybe like 132, even as low as, the 120s. And then from there, I really do believe that we're just going to break out and then just completely rally up even higher. I do strongly believe that. And I think that that's currently seemingly what's trying to, take into action. So all in all, like, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe Tesla is looking phenomenal. Like, that doesn't mean that we have to completely rally right now and right here and just completely make new higher highs. But I will talk about one more higher price target that I have that has been unlocked based on today's movement. But before I do that, on the 1 hour, you can see, again, the bearish divergence is still being formed. We came all the way up to these levels over here at 143. We had the RSI at overbought territory severely, almost at 82. Came up even higher, closed even higher, pretty much at 160. And the RSI is lower than the 140 levels, right? So just, food for thought, that is a bearish divergence being formed. So, that does signify to me on the 1 hour that Tesla for the short to, maybe medium-ish term is approaching its, top-ish area potentially. But with that being said, I did say that I do believe that another price action has been unlocked, and that of course will lead me to believe that there is one more upper limit that Tesla can rally to on the weekly. It's easiest to see, which of course is going to be this area right here, right? This is the area that back when we were, initially falling off a cliff, essentially, that we found a bunch of support, right? Like we really held this kind of line right here, like substantially, right? It was phenomenal. And then essentially once this broke right here is when the true, like real, like ultimate pain started to happen. So in my opinion, this move today has unlocked the possibility, though I don't think it's insanely high, maybe like a 30% chance, but obviously still high enough to pay attention to. The fact that we can still potentially rally anywhere between 166 to all the way up to almost 180. That to me has been unlocked. I don't think it's insanely high, but not something you want to ignore either. And that's something that I'm personally waiting for. If it happens and we get there, I have one more final call to sell as a hedge, I guess, if you will, right? Or as a trade if we do get there. If we don't, I have pretty much every single other calls already sold against my shares and my positions. It's very safe calls. It's all the way up in the 180s for end of February. It's pretty safe because I don't think we'll get there. But yeah, so that's kind of what it has been unlocked, in my opinion, if we do get all the way up to that level, which again is still not impossible. So either way, though, I still regardless think that we are approaching a pretty critical point of rejection, whether it's here or whether it's actually all the way up to between 167-ish to 180-ish. But regardless, I don't think Tesla has substantial upside remaining. But with that being said, I do believe Tesla has arguably reversed the trend, at least for the medium term, not the overall trend, because that is of course still the red line over here, which is really high. This, we'll see what happens with that, but I do believe Tesla has, for at least for the medium term, reversed the trend. And I do believe that even if it does find rejection, let's say at this level, which is a very real possibility, especially with the doji candle close like this, that all it's going to do is essentially form a bull flag, or in other words, a cup and handle pattern, which of course is just going to be a bullish setup for Tesla. But all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below. Phenomenal move on Tesla today. Very cool to see, very good to see as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys for the next one. Peace.